Hi, everyone. Welcome to Fight Net Radio. Lee Honish, joined by Andrew Lop. You know what? Why do I keep doing the intro? Andrew, do the intro.
I don't want to do the intro. You don't just throw intros on me.
How hard is it?
You
Hi.
do the
Wait, let me
intro.
give you the script. Hi,
I
welcome
don't
to Fight Net Radio. You don't even have to introduce people at this point. The people who listen or watch our videos are the same people. I don't. Miguel, you want to take a stab at it?
you should start. Maybe you should start with the hi Fight Net Radio and an explanation on why they didn't get the biggest fight of the
I
year.
understand. I was going to, but this is
Well,
sort of.
I mean, I think that's what the fans are waiting for, Lee. They didn't text me saying I want Andrew to open up the show this week. They text saying where the fuck is the show at? So there's a difference there.
Well,
Hi,
okay, what I'm
welcome to
teaching.
Fight Net Radio. Here's
There
Lee
you go.
Honish.
What about Miguel? What about Miguel?
Oh yeah,
Forgot about Dre.
sorry.
Miguel has become our forgot about Dre.
No, there's a lot of questions in the air from the fans, Lee. I didn't know how to address them. I'm tired
Fans
of
wanna
addressing them.
know. All right,
They
first of
wanted
all,
to know where the hell the show to your. It was a fight that you called. Now everyone's calling brain damage. Have you guys know? Listen, I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get you start the show, and then let's go to the replay before we go into
you
the
want to do the
debacle that
replay
happened
of
in.
the Jake fight first, and okay, I'm with you. All right. Hi. By the way, Miguel.
Yes, hello. I'm the Roy Jones. You almost forgot.
Forgot about Migs.
Well,
Forgot
and then Miguel,
about Migs.
Miguel, I'll start practicing your name because Lee's gonna make me do this. I'll start practicing your name tonight. I will have it down next week.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir.
So to answer the question, 2 weeks ago, I hired a third party to start editing and doing videos and posting to take some of the load off of me because I kind of dove, not dive. You don't dived, you dove. I dove back into the day job a little bit. And for those of you who don't get it, like it's not hard for us to do this. This is easy. It's three monkeys on a Skype call. Talking boxing with three different perspectives. Simple show. The problem is the minute it's done and it's processed, then it's editing, it's chopping it up, it's posting it, and that's hours on Sunday. Well, Andrew has gone off to, Chase Jr., who is trying to torture one of the dogs, and Miguel has started chasing, skirts or hanging with his BFF. Could be one or the other. I am sitting behind a desk, sweating balls, and nobody likes swamp ass. Let's be perfectly honest. So I thought the job was getting done. I didn't realize till Andrew told me this week it's not getting done because I don't double check work. I just pay people. And so both of the shows are posted. So this week you guys have, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, plus this show, which will probably be about an hour. There's not a lot of news. You got like 4 or 5 hours for your long and miserable drives throughout your lives. So enjoy. There's some good stuff on both of the previous shows. The news hasn't changed in those situations. I'm pretty aware when I pick news stories to pick new news stories. So if you want to catch up, go enjoy. I labeled them by date. So there you go. There's not a sexy answer to it. I'd like to tell you that, yes, I became a fallover drunk and I wound up in rehab, and that's why I didn't do it. But that's not the case. That has happened on this show, but that's not the case here. In fact, I don't drink anymore, which is kind of irritating. Again, I find it irritating, Miguel. I don't know why. That I can't drink normal.
Well, maybe because it's not normal for you to not drink, so that might be something. When you like to fall back into the comfort of drinking, yeah, that's not exactly a good thing. So maybe that's why it's not comfortable. But trust me, this at some point will become comfortable. So you're good. You're on the right track.
Okay. Well, since I did it once before for, I don't know, 23 years, I'll probably get into the pocket here shortly.
Yeah, I was going to say 26 years, but yeah,
it might have
23
even been
is
longer.
good.
It was like 93 to just after what, 2018 or 2019. But yeah.
Like to tell the fans, whoever's out there, that the shows are up on Spotify, iHeart, Spreaker. They're not up on Facebook, so you will not find them there yet until that gets done. But they're titled "Show" and sorry, Tech Issues. So if you see those two shows,
no, and they've got the dates of the shows.
Yes. Yeah, they do. But those are the two shows for Spence and Crawford. The build-up and then the...
and our review of the previous fight. So there's plenty of content there to... And trust me when I say this, I really am very aware of the news stories I select. So there's lots of news there, lots of stuff to enjoy. How'd I do, Andrew? Is that good?
I'm just glad they're up. Just glad they're up.
You want a better story? You want me to make some?
That other guy sucks.
I was kidnapped by aliens.
Yeah, that would have been better. The other guy sucks. Whoever you hired sucks. Hey, let's go though.
We got the show. I was kidnapped by aliens. Hi everyone, welcome to Fight Net Radio. My name is Lee Honish. That's Andrew Labouche, and that's Miguel Antonio Barragan. And Andrew wants to start right off with this fiasco. So let's talk about it, Andrew. This is what you want to start the show with.
I said the replay, you dork. I don't care what
the replay of Spence Crawford.
It really don't matter. It really don't matter. They're both hot.
No. Because I've got the full fight. Look, that's at least worth a few clicks. So you're talking about the replay of Spence and Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you rewatched it, Andrew. What did you think?
Oh, no, that's been on replay in this house. Yes, last night watched again, but the fight is over. It's already been decided. Look, what we're talking about now is the rematch. And does Spence won? The rematch is only happening because it's on contract. Because to me, Spence does not deserve a rematch. He was never in that fight. There was no talks of him being injured, him being weight drained.
Not true. According to Deontay Wilder, if you look carefully, he was over dehydrated. Listen, your king is telling you he was over dehydrated.
Yeah, but he had a paid professional. He said that, was doing his last, 3 fights. They said Ugas, he looked the best he's ever had, was in his last fight. It's just really hard to now turn around. Look, I'm not saying weight drain. They're talking about the brain damage of the car accident that happened 3 belts ago.
I don't know. Somebody talked about that extensively on this show, Andrew. I'm not sure who it was.
Hey, I totally hear you. Yes, you did. And you know what? No one ran with it. Everyone kept saying he was. At some point, they even put him higher than Terrence Crawford in this whole 5-year run that the build up to this fight. They put him higher than Terrence because they said he was doing more at the welterweight division. Miguel, you remember this, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
And now to turn around and be like, oh no, he might have had brain damage. It's like, dude, stretching. And you know what? Fuck it. If I'm Terrence Crawford, I'm taking that out. I really am. Unless Terrence wants to just abuse the kid, maybe come back and really hurt him in the ring, because that's what that fight showed us last Saturday night. There was nothing going on there but a straight up ass whooping. I'll say it like I said it last week. Spence never won a minute of that fight. He wins seconds. He has combinations where he landed the better punch out of the two, but he never wins a minute. It is a pure ass whooping. It is a pure dominating performance by one man. They need to walk away from the fight. I'm tired now. He's brain damaged. He's weight drained. He's all that. That's it. He's over then. I knocked him out. I won on everybody's scorecards almost every single round. I think they gave him the first round. A judge gave him the first round. That's fine. Gave him the first round. One guy did. The rest of us didn't give him shit. And in one round he gets dropped twice. In another round he gets dropped once. Like, I'm just kind of over the Spence thing.
Miguel, you're a week removed. Have you rewatched the fight?
Oh yeah. I mean, I watched. I mean, not since like, let me see, maybe Tuesday or something, because I watched it a few times prior to that. But because I decided to go back and watch the undercard too. This is a pretty good like, I don't know what's the word, a pretty good reason maybe that Crawford can actually throw into the mix and, you know, I guess make the case for not having a rematch. You know, because keep in mind what Spence is saying, I guess at this point, is, and it's not his people, I think it's everybody else is saying about his brain issues. Yes. But it's wanting the rematch at 154. That's where they're coming from. If Crawford was smart, I think he would use that issue of his brain neurology, whatever the fuck, you know, his brain being, you know, what's the word, permanently damaged or whatever the hell they're talking about in regards to the car accident, to not actually have the rematch. Be like, no, look, I'm not gonna fucking kill this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna go in there and I'm gonna fuck him up again, and it's gonna be worse. And if his brain, y'all saying his brain is already that fucked up, no, this is grounds for not having a rematch. He wants to continue his career fighting someone else, by all means do so. But this is the best grounds to avoid a rematch, even if it's in the contract. It's like, no, dude, your health is at risk. That's more important. Fuck the fucking contract. Hopefully that's the route that Crawford and his team goes. And if they're smart, they probably would go that direction, because, I mean, even Crawford said years ago when there was a confrontation between him and Spence in some like backstage or something at another fight, where even back then Crawford was like, no, they're gonna say that he stayed at 147 too long and he was drained, whatever the fuck, right? Make all these excuses. This was years before the fight even fucking happened, so he knew way the fuck back then that there were gonna be some excuses about, you know, being at 147 too long for Spence. So now, of course, Spence wants the rematch at 154. If Crawford and his team were smart, they would say, no. Fuck what weight it is. Y'all saying his brain is fucked up. I'm not going to have the rematch. I'm not going to kill this dude. Pow. Get himself out of a rematch, and he can move on to bigger and better things.
And at the very least, Lee, they make him go through some serious testing. At the very least, he has to pass some testing with some doctors before I step in the ring with them. It is not fair to Terrence Crawford if he is to do the rematch with Spence, hurt Spence, and everyone is going to tell him, we told you that dude had brain damage. This is fucked up. You're fucked. Could you imagine what his life on social media would become if they actually ran this fight back with no testing, with no neurological doctor looking at Spence to see if he's really qualified to fight anymore? I mean, they have taken it so far, bringing up interviews, him prior to the accident, after the accident, the doctor coming in the ring. What was it, in the 7th round? Oh, did you guys see when he came in the 7th? There was no reason for him to be there. Only the fact that they all knew he had brain damage. What? Like, what? Are you fucking serious right now? Did anyone see round 7? Derek James, I thought, was wrong for sending his guy back out in the 8th. I'm sorry. Round 7, that doctor comes in because Spence just got dropped twice and literally was getting manhandled at this point. This fight is over. It is in round 8. Well, it goes around 9. But I think in round 8, they're like, this fight is almost done. It could have been stopped in round 7. Nobody would have cared. Terrence was dominating this fight. But they're taking that moment to take the win away from Crawford. I just think it's hella wrong how a lot of these guys pick Spence to win. Now all of a sudden, Spence is this broken, brain-damaged fighter. It always plays like this in boxing. If I'm Terrence Crawford, I walk away from this fight. I'm kind of tired of and we said it before on this show, the hiding behind, I've got this brains, right? It's like no one can ever question when someone says they have a brain damage, they have a CTE, they have this. You can't question it, and that's fine. doctors should be able to a fighter and a promotional company sitting across the table when they're dealing with a fighter that is claiming brain damage, CTE, depression, any of that, it is all right to say, you know what? Can we get him serious testing to move on with this fight, because I'm not trying to hurt someone that comes out on social media and says they have brain damage. Doctors are coming out going, this guy has brain damage. There's no reason for him to be in the ring. What kind of bullshit was that? The biggest fight of the decade turned out to be it should never have taken place.
Strong, Andrew.
I think it protects everybody involved. If we're going to keep going down this, they say rabbit hole of this brain damage, this depression, CTE, all this stuff that deals with the head, then the other side should be able to ask for some serious testing before moving into a sport, MMA, boxing, football, whatever it is, these rough sports, this shit needs to get looked at a little bit more careful. It's a damn shame. And I know you believe it, Lee. I don't want to believe it. I want to think that Spence passed all the testing seriously to be a professional fighter after that accident. It'd be a fucking shame if there was doctors looking the other way because the guy goes, this is the only way I'm going to make money, doc. And we all know he can go in that ring and get seriously hurt. His father was standing behind him. You're telling me his dad is turning a blind eye to his son having fucking permanent brain damage and getting in the ring with the killer like Terrence Crawford? What did they all say? Oh man, Crawford, he's a killer. When he sees blood, he goes after it. So you guys all know he's a killer. Now you're telling me your son had brain damage, yet you stand behind him, putting him in that fucking ring? That's a sick game, man. Maybe $1 Million Baby wasn't wrong.
Strong.
I could keep going.
I'm sure you could. Could use the filler. Look, Spence was damaged goods. I've said it for years. He's fought nobodies to fluff his record to keep him where he is. He got his Crawford fight. He lost his Crawford fight. It's pretty cut and dry to me. I'm going to exercise my rematch clause is BS. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's complete BS. What outcome could be, the fact that Wilder or the PBC or Al is like sort of disseminating this week, oh, he was dehydrated. He's a different guy at 154. Okay. I think he gets his ass kicked exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think fucking Crawford is a different guy at 154. He's fucking more of a monster probably at 154. That's why he's already trying, clamoring at trying to get at a fight with Charlo. He wants that fight at 154 already. So I'm sure he too is tired of being at 147. He's like, fuck it. And then we've watched some clips of Teddy Atlas talking about how high potentially Crawford can go and saying like, look, there's some people above him in the weight classes who ain't shit. Like he can probably go up there. He can probably go to 154. He can probably go to 160 because the dude has got, pretty fucking solid frame, even though, he's not as tall as some of the other fighters at that weight class. But it's like still the dude has the kind of frame to pack on some fucking mass. And considering how weak those weight classes are right now, he can go up there and fucking like mop the floor. And that's not a bad idea, especially going up first at at Charlo 154, if he decides to come back, because we know the Canelo sweepstakes is basically a retirement plan. So he'll get a nice paycheck against Canelo, Charlo I'm talking about, and who knows if he'll come back to 154 or fight again at any given time. But if he doesn't, well, that leaves the fucking weight class wide open. I mean, who's gonna stop Terrence at 154? Who's gonna stop Terrence at fucking 160 for Christ's sake? So yeah, maybe somebody like Johnny Beck or something at 160, but that's way down the line, of course, if that even comes to pass. But yeah, I mean, and then even Crawford himself said he only has a few more years because he doesn't want to he said it many times before, he wants to retire from boxing. He doesn't want boxing to retire him. So we don't know how many more years Crawford has in the sport, but we can damn near guarantee he's going to go to 154 because he's already comfortable making 154, I'm sure. And if the rematch does happen at 154, there's nothing in that first fight, at least from Spence's perspective, that is going to lead me to think that a rematch at 154 will be any different.
There you
go. Gaining speed doesn't add defense, and it doesn't give you faster hands. He would have more power. but he was missing so much in the other aspects of the fight. The power wouldn't add up to anything because he never even dented Crawford. The fight stays the same.
Well, he didn't listen to his corner either at all. He was stuck,
that's true, but
he was stuck in a one-dimensional fight.
He was throwing, you guys, I always talk about, and I might have already said this, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but the PBC has been put up with some weak opposition in the last few years. We've talked about it many times on this show. They were dominating that welterweight division by controlling them belts and putting their guys in with, just people that the PBC kind of pumped up. No one else really knew, but they were undefeated. Acampo being one of them. It just guys out of nowhere, like Leonardo Bundy. I think he fought some guy named Bundy. Who the fuck are these guys? Who is this? But they were there, they were winning, and so be it. Sometimes you get so many, Deontay Wilder, another example. Yeah, what it was, 11, 12 title defenses, but all against tomato cans. You keep getting in these sparring matches, these fights where you're not really testing yourself, not really bringing your body, yourself to 100% because you're fighting guys that you dominate. This is what happens to them. This is what they look like. You're gonna fight how you train, and I'm sorry, the same thing goes when you're fighting scrubs, trying to build yourself to that super fight. I believe there's other promotional companies that know the fights that are gonna be big, and they try to mold their guys while building them up to that spot, that moment. That's what a good promoter would do when he has someone that he thinks is going to be the face of boxing. It's like, who's the guy that is going to be your dancing partner? That's what they kept saying.
Uh-huh. You need the opponent. Yep, you need the opponent.
Yeah. So I thought Al Heyman really, the fact when they started the fight and they go, oh, he's only fought in 2 southpaws his whole career. Terrence Crawford's been fighting southpaw 77% of his career. Is like, eesh, you guys kind of missed one there. Then the last southpaw he faced was years ago. It was something like he hadn't even faced it. It was like they weren't even trying to prepare him for Terrence Crawford. So then I move on to Charlo. Did you guys see the thing I posted on FightNet's Facebook page? The Charlo interview, the recent interview from him.
No, go ahead, Andrew. Why don't you talk about it?
If you haven't, Lee, try to go to Facebook right now. I just posted it. You guys got to hear the words of the undisputed 154-pound champ on what he's saying. There it is, Lee. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I have to switch it so that we have sound.
Shit.
No, it's all right. It's not that big a deal. Just a little work on my part. Hold on.
And just to confirm, this is the right Charlo, right? This isn't the 160 Charlo, right? Okay.
I believe so. Jeez almighty.
Who knows?
Well, if they said it said it was Jermel, right? Right, real quick. That's what it said. Jermel, real quick. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's Jermel.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think we're good then. Yeah. Then this is it. Then this is the 154-pound Charlo.
I'm telling you, I'm trying to become undisputed right now. How are we talking about somebody that ain't even fought in the division? How do he just jump from there to there? Like what connection do he got to this world? Where that tall, lanky motherfucker at? Maybe I'll be the shot caller. Make the decisions on who I want to fight next. I'm Fondora, go fight somebody else. I don't know. Crawford, go fight. Y'all fight each other. I'm busy. Motherfucker, I'm busy.
Doing what?
When he fighting again? Shit. When the fuck is he fighting again? Like, who the fuck he fought last? Like, I don't even know nothing about the kid. Don't ask me about Crawford, because that motherfucker ain't in my division. Like, we talking about a 147-pounder that was a 140-pounder. We need to fucking compare. I get it. He won the undisputed, right? At 147 and 140. This shit is different when they get down to 147. 147, 154, 160, 68. This shit is different. Crawford ain't did shit.
Wow.
This was before. This was before because he said he's like, I'm trying to be undisputed, right? So it's like this had to have been before he did it. No, I mean this was a while back. I have to assume.
Yeah, yes, this didn't age well for him. Look at how he says, makes him jump up 2 divisions and get a shot? And look at what he's doing against Canelo, bro.
Yeah.
You hear he's all, what makes him give him that right? All I'm saying, sounds like a fighter. One that is very nervous about Terrence Crawford coming to his division. If he really his voice is cracking. He wants no part of Crawford. And then 2, he's doing exactly what he said Crawford should be penalized for trying to do. What gives him the right jumping up divisions, trying to go undisputed? And then he talks about trying to go up, and now he's facing Canelo 2 divisions higher, trying to be undisputed.
Is this the one with mental issues?
I don't know, but if I'm Crawford, I'm playing that fucking thing on a loop on Charlo's page, telling him he better accept the fight. He's got to accept the fight. He's doing exactly what he said Crawford he wouldn't fight Crawford for. Now he's doing it to Canelo. Come on, Crawford's coming to your division. He's gonna have to fight him. Listen, the Charlos have been getting slapped. Now this thing is hitting the web again. Dude, these lions got to start acting like lions. If I'm Charlo, the next time someone talks to you about Terrence Crawford, it better be when we're going to have this fight.
Oh, they're acting like lions, all right, but against like fucking like arena ushers. Did you see that shit where he just like walks right by that lady? Lady's like trying to hold him off, right? It's like, hold on, who are you? This fucker literally just like damn near like backhands this lady and just keeps walking. And the lady, the usher, there's like, what the fuck? And then she has to ask another one of her people, and they're like, oh, this is so. It's like, damn, bitch, can you at least slow down, fool? And be like, I'm so and so. You know, he gets all like asked her, like the fucker sounds like a child sometimes, like in this video. So to answer your question, Lee, it's not a mental thing. It's like this dude is just like a child or some shit. He acts like all fucking like throws temper tantrums and shit, man.
But they all are, right? This goes back to like Deontay.
Well, I mean, maybe some people hide him better, but this motherfucker clearly just to hear his voice when he's like saying these things, especially in this particular video here, like dude sounds like he's about to fucking cry. It's like, man, relax. We just asked you a question, bro. Jeez, we asked you a question about Crawford, man. Don't fucking, put your pennies in a bunch. Yeah.
He hasn't had one fight at 168, you guys. Just one, not one. I mean, him saying that about Crawford moving up and trying to fight him is just, now it's comical, man. It's like, bro, nah, you got to fight him. I'm sorry. Step aside, Zoo. All of these guys, it's time to put their asses to the flame now. There is no more, I'm going for undisputed. You are undisputed. He's pound for pound, because this should have happened in 2018. Hello? In 2008, I like that meme they sent out where it said, remember when the PBC tried to act like Terrence Crawford didn't even exist? And you see Spence, Thurman, Porter, Pacquiao. It was supposed to happen back then. All of this was supposed to take place. Maybe Terrence Crawford wins, maybe he doesn't. But his time was supposed to be 2018 when he went up there and beat the shit out of Jeff Horn, knocked him out in the 9th round, beat the man who beat the man. That's what made Terrence Crawford pound for pound on that day. And all of these guys, all of them wanted belts, just not the pound for pound belt. Miss me with that bullshit. They can't do it anymore. Now you're undisputed. There's only one title left. Jermall, I think that Jermall Charlo. There's only one title left. It's Terrence Crawford's title. So now it's time to put their asses to the flame now. Crawford's got a few more fights. He looked so good last Saturday night. 35 doesn't seem to be an issue. That's a great thing. The weight, I don't really like it. Look, I don't know what Terrence Crawford's contract is with the PBC, but where the fuck is Teofimo Lopez at? Like, why isn't anybody talking about that fight that makes way more sense to me than Crawford going to 154 and facing, some guy that's going to 160 fucking 8. Crawford talked about, I will never go to 168. I respect divisions. I respect the weight classes. Well, dude, if Jermall goes up to 168 and puts on a performance, let's say he goes 12 rounds. Yeah, loses a decision, but goes 12. He's a lot bigger than Terrence then. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Where's Lopez at? Why hasn't Lopez even sent out a tweet about
because
trying to be
retired?
No, I think he's gonna sit back, and I think he's gonna sit back. I'm Teofimo. I mean, he's gonna sit back and wait out what happens with Haney and fucking and Prograis. Like I think that's kind of because that's from what I understand, the plan on Haney's team is that they're going to move to 140 and they're going to try to take the belt, the WBC belt from Regis, and as soon as that's done, he's going to go after Teofimo. So I don't know if what Teofimo will do in the meantime, because we're talking about, I don't even know when they say October. I don't even remember when they said as far as like Haney.
I've got the story. Wait,
program,
it's a good
but
question.
yeah, but that and then when will that happen? It probably won't happen until 2024, which of course I'm sure is going to help. Well, I mean, not help. It won't help Teofimo, but I'm sure Teofimo will like to have the rest of the year off. It doesn't sound like he's too willing to get back in the ring and fight one more time before the year ends. So it sounds like he's more than happy with just waiting on the sideline, resting. He got a nice payday from beating Josh Taylor, so I'm sure he's okay with just sitting on the sidelines, waiting to see what happens with Prograis and Haney before proceeding. So yeah, I mean, right now, I think Teofimo's out in his own world right now. I don't think he's not even looking at this right now, or Crawford, I'm saying.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, after the win to Josh Taylor, didn't he say something? The reason why he retired is because he only made $1 million. Do you remember him saying that after the fight? He's like walking down.
Oh, go ahead.
He's walking out of the ring, and I think someone like yells, "Teofimo, you can't retire." One of the reporters, and he goes, "Man, they only paid me $1 million for this fight. Come on." He gives his hand. I don't know how rich Lopez is, but I know the kid loves chasing greatness. And Terrence Crawford is now the biggest ticket sale in the sport of boxing. And that's only going to build. Terrence Crawford, he crossed all lines last Saturday. Anyone who watched that fight is instantly a Terrence Crawford fan. He did nothing wrong that whole promotion. After the fight, he acted like a sportsman. Dead serious. I've been seeing so much about his connection to wrestling, and the wrestling was the reason why he's pushing around these bigger men videos. That's going to make him a bigger star. Nebraska is going to love him. He's bringing light to their state's #1 sport, right?
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I was thinking about Teofimo, because when he, if I'm not mistaken, remember that whole issue with him and Top Rank, with them not wanting to pay him an X amount of money to fight. I think it was like Cambosos or something like that, right? And then ultimately, like, that went to a purse bid, and him and Cambosos was on DAZN and not ESPN Plus. And I think, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure he didn't get the money that he wanted from that fight, but it was more than what Top Rank and Bob Arum were willing to pay him. So I think he got a nice payday for that loss to Cambosos. So I don't know, beyond that, I don't know how much more he made, as far as like, because I mean, we don't know if he's telling the truth or not, of course, when he said that, when he was exiting the ring after he beat Josh Taylor and he retired. But I mean, if he is chasing legacy, like you said, Andrew, if he goes up to 147, and he's already, granted, they already stripped some belts from Josh Taylor prior to him fighting Teofimo, but nonetheless, Teofimo's still the lineal champion in that weight class. He goes up to 147 and challenges for the next dude in line, which is the next lineal champion in the weight class is Crawford. That means something. That would be especially after like how big. I mean, I don't know what the pay-per-view numbers are exactly yet for Crawford Spence, but it's up there. It's something. I mean, I don't think Teofimo's ever been on fucking pay-per-view. So a pay-per-view fight with him and Crawford for like another undisputed versus undisputed sort of, that would be more than to having to wait around for Haney or Prograis or something.
Wow, have we beaten a dead horse?
It needed to be.
Wait, let's beat it some more.
It needed to be beat. Please.
Crawford Spence event generated more than 21 million in ticket sales at T-Mobile Arena. Now, you were saying this week, Andrew, where did you come up with your 700,000 pay-per-view buys?
I saw it online. I think it was online somewhere. No, wasn't it? Or
yeah,
Andrew?
It just seems like that was the rumor that caught fire, Lee. It started popping up everywhere. That it's rumored.
In this article, but again, this is a pro PBC website. They're quoting 1.2.
Oh, geez, what the pay-per-view units sold, huh? How recent is this article? Because like it might have been the early numbers, the 700-800 mark, or what the fuck was it?
No, this is not that long ago. When is it?
No, okay.
Wednesday.
August 2nd. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be huge news if it was real. I think you would see everyone running with the 1.2. I mean, you're talking about now Ryan Garcia, or actually Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, and this fight would have generated 2.4 million buys together. I haven't heard any reports like that. All I'm seeing is how Davis trumped these guys. That's really all I'm seeing out there is the Davis Garcia fight doubled in the pay-per-view, and it got more on the gate. They did 28 million, I believe, on the gate. Now look, the gate did get put on Las Vegas's top 10. I'm sure Vegas would come out and say that was a lie if it wasn't true, you know? So you got to give them credit that they got the 21 million at the gate. The pay-per-views, 700,000, I'll go with the high one. 700,000 is decent for for Terrence Crawford, who's never gotten big. But I think what we take away from that fight is how much bigger of a star Terrence Crawford was the next morning. You're talking almost every athlete out there congratulated him. He was on every platform. He was on TV shows, on World Hips. What is that? World Stars. They had the highlights on theirs. He just blows up, you guys. He's everywhere. Now every comedian, man, I always knew he was bad. Everyone always knew he was bad. That's my boy now. He's so much bigger the next day. So that's what I mean by, if you're anyone looking to make top dollar right now, especially someone like to sit back and wait for the winner of Prograis versus Haney? Are you and I'm not knocking you. I'm just knocking that report. Are you kidding me right now? Who owns you, Lopez? The biggest fight for you right now is Terrence Crawford. You talk about, I want to make the most money. It's Terrence Crawford. It's Terrence. It's 147. I get it. Telefimo can take a fight there to build himself up. I'm not saying step right in and fight Terrence in December. But you can tell everybody, I'm coming back to go for my third undisputed division. And I think Terrence Crawford would be facing his third undisputed or second undisputed guy, not for the titles, but just with the guy with that kind of resume. How is this not the hottest fight? How is this not the biggest fight? Telefimo's from the East Coast. Terrence Crawford's known everywhere in America. How is this not the biggest fight in America? Lopez versus Crawford.
Yeah. So, dude, but Bleacher Report, but this was before that, like this Bleacher Report from like 6 days ago. So it was like last week, literally, like last Sunday, said 650K pay-per-view buys. And then I think Front Office Sports, some motherfucking website, I don't know, says 700K. So if we're going to go on the high end, 700K. And this is still like maybe 3 or 4 days ago. So I still, maybe it's around the same time that this article here from Boxing Scene came out. So I don't know. I don't know who the fuck to believe really at this point.
It's a good number.
700? Yeah, it's still a solid. Yeah, it's still pretty solid. I mean, granted, it's not what we thought it was going to be because we were kind of hoping, the fight of this significance and the magnitude of, the welterweight title, it being more than 1.4 that Gervonta and fucking Ryan got. But I mean, it's up there. Even if this report is true, the one we're seeing here on Boxing Scene, 1.2, it isn't bad. It cracked a million if that is the case. It's like, that's not bad at all. Yeah, it didn't beat Gervonta and Ryan, but still, it's like, that's still pretty damn significant considering
it would have tied it.
It would have tied it.
For what I'm seeing, it seems like the final number for their pay-per-view was 1.2. That's what it seemed like everyone ran with this week, while the build-up or last week with the build-up for Spence Crawford was like, that was the big number we were all gunning for. It was the 1.2. It would have tied it. It would have came 6 million shy or 7 million shy, I think, on the gate. So yeah, it would have been very successful, both fights, and it was still successful. What we don't know is how much money Spence and Crawford take away from that pot on guaranteed money. And then that's when we start seeing if this was successful for PBC or not, because they have taxes, they have other people they're paying, and then they have to pay the guaranteed purses before they even get their hands into anything themselves. So that would, I don't know what Spence made that night. I don't know what Crawford made that night and what their percentages are after the fight. But yeah, to end this one, I say no to the rematch because I say no to the rematch, Lee, because how they're trying to run with brain damage and discredit Crawford's win. It's very wrong that the media is doing that to him right now with no solid proof. Just, oh, look at this video. And Lee, and I get it. It probably is true. It probably is true. There's, what was it? Tyson or someone said there's no way you go 100+ miles an hour, fly out of a car and tell me your body's the same. There's no way. I get it. I get that. That's something that should have been stopped ahead of time, though. You can't allow the fight to go on and then claim foul after. To me, he got in the ring. Shame on him. Shame on his team.
Yeah, he signed the contract. That's why, like, it pisses me off when I hear these fucking excuses. Even if the excuses are true, like even going back to when Lomachenko fought Teofimo and he had that issue with the shoulder, and he said he wanted to wait until after the fight, because we weren't sure how much longer Teofimo was going to be at 135 and all the shit. He was only getting older to Lomachenko, and he goes in there and he fucking loses the fight, and then later on blames it on his shoulder. It's like, dude, you signed the fucking contract. I know rarely are fighters 100% when they enter the fucking ring. There's always some sort of nagging injury, some sort of issue. They're always like that. That's just common sense. They're never going to be 100% shit. Even if they take time off, they will heal, but they're not going to heal the same, obviously. So it's like you're always going to have something. Obviously, we know this, but don't fucking say it after the fact. Like it just makes you sound like a fucking sore loser if you lose. I mean, especially if you put it on that specifically. So the bottom line is you signed the contract. If you thought fighting at 147 was going to drain you too damn much, or you had this issue, then tough shit, then don't fucking do it. Don't sign the goddamn contract. But when you do it, it's like, all right, too late. You got to shut your mouth now. You can't say shit about your neurological issues or weight draining to get to 147. At this point, it's like, you did it. Tough shit. You lost.
Does anyone see a trend besides me? So for top ranked people, it's always a hurt shoulder. And now for PBC, it's always hydration. It's always hydration, right? Deontay lost and got knocked out because,
Or you could say mental, dude. Because I think
everybody plays the mental card. I mean, Oscar's people seem to be very big on mental issues, including Oscar.
Yeah, it's not right. I shouldn't make fun.
Why? That's what this show's all about.
It just you are right. There's some patterns and some areas where maybe
it's just a coincidence, right? I personally don't believe in coincidences in boxing, right? When you've got multiple fighters, Lomachenko, Pacquiao, people who claim shoulder injuries when they lose. You look at the PBC, we're just not drinking our Gatorade, right? And Oscar's people are all going off to, psych rehab evals. Just saying, seems to be a trend to me. But hey, let's move forward because we need a new player on the board. It's Overtime Boxing.
Oh, what in the hell is this?
They launched on, they actually fought apparently this weekend. And the belt that they have from it's the grossest belt I've ever seen. So what's the press release? Brandon Rose realized his company. Oh my God, Keith, you wrote an article. You're in their ass. Storytelling. So they're going to do the storytelling with. I'm already grossed out by it. We're really focusing on the next generation of fighters. Isn't that what all the small promotions say? And contender levels. Well, okay. What we do at Overtime so well historically with basketball, football has been discovering new and up and coming talent and telling their stories. All right, so here we go again. This is like a bad PBC model that people do. So PBC claimed that we were going to go into storytelling, build up the fight, use social media, and then put that fight on. By the way, HBO did it before everybody else, right? Yeah. Do we really need another promotion?
Is that what it is? This is launches on DAZN targets Generation Z fans with fights and storytelling. So okay, but is that why the belt looks like the fucking like Instagram logo or some shit? Like what the hell? That looks That's like really trying
Actually, it
to
looks like a
pander.
YouTube 100,000 subscriber logo.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, they're really trying hard to pander to this generation. Like, what are they thinking that there's not enough interest from the younger fans, or what the hell? I mean, like, are they seeing the younger
Well,
fans
okay,
that are
let's
being
be
brought in
perfectly
by?
honest. Younger fans aren't watching boxing, right?
No,
That's
well,
a
I mean,
fair.
they're watching Jake Paul and shit because they know him from YouTube. But really, other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I've always thought that was kind of a lie about boxing fans. You know, as many fights that I've been to in Vegas, the demographic was always good out there. It was always 21 to whatever
50
age.
foot, yeah, 21
Well, I mean,
to
Lee,
105.
20-year-olds ain't buying $25,000 seats. Sorry, bro. But most of the time, your suits up front are going to be your high rollers and your CEOs and your successful men. Not too many $200 seats at a Las Vegas fight for a fucking Mike Tyson Evander Holyfield showdown. So that's why you get an older demographic up front. You ever been to the clubs? You ever been to the casino floor? I mean, it's you ever been to an Oscar De La Hoya fight or a Canelo fight? There ain't no freaking 50-year-old grandpas out there. I always loved it because not only did boxing bring out its finest in the age groups, everyone was dressed to impress. You know how many times I've been to a baseball game, a football game, nobody's done up. There ain't no Sunday dresses. There's no, we're going to the club after the A's Giants game, so I'm going to wear my club dress now. There's none of that going on. But when you go to a fight in Las Vegas, come on now. There ain't nothing better on a Saturday night. It really isn't.
What you're also forgetting about the late 90s fights, right? Which is what you're talking about.
Well, no, Lee, I'm 21 in 2001, bro. I'm there in 2002 for De La Hoya Mosley. That fight was fucking
De La
cracking.
Hoya Mosley, De La Hoya versus anyone. There are just so many people
Manny
fighting.
Pacquiao versus anyone. Floyd Mayweather versus anyone. There's been many fighters in our 2000 era that bring out the whole. You could put Barrera, Morales, Juan Manuel Marquez. They're gonna get 20-something thousand young people out there. I'm dead serious. I've never been to the fight and been like, damn, this is like a grandpa senior citizen tour. This is the PGA tour. No, it's never been that way. So, I know Ryan Garcia and Davis are owning pay-per-view right now. So somebody's watching because the UFC ain't even touched 1.2 million. I haven't even seen the UFC announce their numbers from the fight that went up against Spence and Crawford.
Yeah, I haven't checked those numbers either. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's not throw too much shade on boxing's demographic. I think they're doing fine. What people got tired of, the fights weren't getting made. The fights that people wanted to see, these diehards that we go out and talk about seeing, weren't being made. Now they are. The fans are showing up. Look at Spence and Crawford's numbers went through the roof. These guys can't sell shit without each other. They get together and they make $100 million profit on pay-per-view in the gate. About $100 million. What is it? Where are they at? 71 million, something like that.
Wait, hold on. I've got it. Well, pay-per-view was 55.
Oh, there you go.
And
21.
the gate was 21. Yeah.
76
so you're about
million.
71 overall.
76. That's 55 and 21. 76 million they hit. They never seen those type of numbers without each other. So this is what the fans wanted. We're giving it again to at least the Mexican fans and whoever else watches. They get it again with Valdez and Navarrete. It's going to be an awesome fight for us diehards. Us guys that are like, dude, this is a fight you got to watch. It happens again this weekend for us. To be honest with you guys, Saturday night was kind of surprising to me with the Paul and Nate Diaz turnout in Texas. I'm really interested in seeing these numbers now, you guys. I'm telling you, they always say the crowd will dictate the pay-per-view buys. Not only did they have a sellout crowd, them guys were cheering last night for Nate Diaz. There was a lot of hope in Nate Diaz last night. That was a very successful fight.
Well, he's modeling himself after his brother and being a villain. And that's all there is to it. And he's playing it up on his own podcast. He's smart.
But then he got fucking romped, dude. But whatever. It was just Jake Paul's not going away from that. He's not. I know he said he wants to fight professional boxers and fight Canelo. Blah blah blah.
Wow.
You get him another guy that doesn't know how to fight, and I'm sorry. Nate Diaz might know how to choke you out and take you to the ground and but his punching was pathetic last night. And look, I wanted the guy to do something, but to not respect our sport and not to learn how to throw a fucking punch or a combo or deep, he looked like James Toney. I gotta tell you, Lee, he looked like he absolutely didn't take a dive, but didn't respect the shit either. Here I am. I'm gonna slap you. My slap. Those fucking punches were pathetic, man. I lost interest in about, I don't know, the fucking 7th round, 6th round. It was over. To me, that fight was nothing. I couldn't believe.
We'll get there. Save it.
I'm sorry.
We'll get there. Let's do our top story, shall we?
Go ahead. Dillian
White, the most greased butthole in boxing, fails a drug test for the first time ever.
It's fucking crazy.
Well, it just tells me either the fight didn't sell, or AJ didn't want the fight, or he wasn't ready for the fight. And so they tried to hustle, right, and find somebody. And ultimately, yesterday, they canceled the entire fight, which I think was the goal. And of course, Dillian, by response, what did he say? I am shocked and devastated to learn of a report by VADA of adverse finding. Look, this was written by Hearn.
Of course.
It sounds like it. It either didn't sell or AJ wasn't ready. AJ's the golden boy here. It's not Dillian White. Period. Period. I can't believe otherwise, Miguel.
No. I mean, of course, I want to know what these adverse findings are. They're gonna, give us more details. I'm sure it's like elevated testosterone levels or some shit like that, or something along those lines. I don't know if it's necessarily, or maybe like some sort of masking agent or something. But I want to know what precisely that they're referring to. I don't know how soon they'll be able to, publish that kind of stuff or disclose it. But I mean,
bottom line is, this fight is off the table. Buy it and try it for the room.
Hey,
yeah.
You know what? What's kind of eye-opening? No talk of a planned test B. They're just like, you're fucking fired. He had cocaine in his system, you guys. This man had something in his system that there was no reason to come out and go, it was a dietary supplement, and we're gonna proceed with the fight and check plan B or test B and come back. Nah. They're like, it's over. It's done. He tested hella dirty. He's dirty. It's over. The fight's canceled. Now, I think I don't know if it was I don't know what it was. I was thinking the guy got caught on drugs. He got a random testing and was high as a kite. And they were like, you're fucking out.
High on what though? What do you think he was high on?
Cocaine.
Okay, I'm going to buy that on the dark web and try it out.
I'm just throwing shit at the wall. I have no proof. But, dude, don't they usually talk about a test B? Isn't there usually you're innocent until, proven guilty with that second test? Mm. In this one, they're kind of like, they just fired him. They just walked in and was like, hey, Eddie, he tested hella dirty. Go ahead and cancel this fight. No test B. Cancel the fucking fight. What did he do? What did he do that was that bad? To me, it was like they caught him on something. He's either
sniffing
on
glue.
Juice right then and there. They caught him with the needle in his ass, or fucking he was high as a kite. Because I think anything else, they're gonna at least talk. You didn't even hear Dillian White go, "Give me the second one. I want to know what the test B says."
They had adverse finding as soon as they walked into the door. They're like, what are you? Can you put the straw down, sir, please? Like, oh, okay, sir.
Big Baby, what? They had an A, a B, a C, a D.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Dude, the other kid that retired, what was his dad? His dad was a boxer. What is it, Eubank? Didn't he test dirty recently?
Oh, no, Connor Ben.
Connor Benn, yeah, had to go to the B test, had this big old trial. No, this one, they're like, nah, you're fucking gone. Fight's over. Hey, but they do have a replacement. Did you guys hear about the replacement for?
Do they really have one?
The possible replacement. The possible.
Oh, it didn't. I thought he got signed.
I thought, as of yesterday, what I've read, they've canceled the fight. I saw a report. I'm not making it up, and I saw it on Facebook.
No, I did too, Lee. But later on that night, I seen Hasim Rockman Jr. announce on his card he's going to the UK to fight Joshua, and then I seen him congratulated by a few fighters on getting his big shot at Joshua. And I thought, what a gift.
It's into the top of their social media. It's canceled. The fight will be canceled and a full investigation conducted. There's no...
Well, when was that, though? What date was that posted on?
Really, yesterday.
Oh, shit.
Yesterday at 4:35 a.m., which I think is tomorrow here. I don't know. That's a good joke. Why doesn't anybody get my timeline jokes?
I think it's just not landing. They're not.
See, I'm telling you, if you go to Hasim Rockman Jr.'s page, he has him already on the face of it. And he put, the boxing is the theater of the unexpected. Let's get it on at Anthony Joshua. Maybe it's just a call out, but he had a
you say it's canceled and you start selling back tickets, it might be a little over. Just saying. I could be completely wrong.
Well,
yeah, I went to Rockman Jr.'s Instagram page, and yeah, he's got it. He basically, like, I don't know, photoshopped himself in that motherfucker with everything else with the same date and everything. I mean, mind you, this is like next week at this point, August 12th. So I don't know how quickly they're going to be able to be like, all right, dude, toss your ass in here. Let's take some drug tests real quick and see if you're ready to go. But because even in the comments, they're like, is this for real? But I don't think anybody's answered that person. Yeah, I don't know how legit this is, but yeah, it certainly seems as though somebody is trying to get the fight.
What a gift that would be if they really did line up Rockman Jr. for. I mean, isn't Rockman the one that? Who did he get handled by in the celebrity match?
That Hardy dude, that Hardy, a former ex-football player. That
yes, there you go.
Yep. Yeah,
the MMA and the Dallas Cowboy guy. Yeah, got handled. It wasn't really even close, you guys. And now you're supposed to fight Anthony Joshua. Like, get out of here. The unexpected. Yeah, Joshua unexpectedly twists his ankle walking in the fucking ring. That's the only thing that's gonna happen.
And then the funny thing is that he actually like misspelled the word August on the fucking poster. It's like
Did he just make a fake? Did he pull like a what's the one of those guys does it? Right. He just made a meme. That's all he did.
People are so terrible. Damn it. Lee, he didn't spell August right on the poster.
That's so good. Thank you, Hasim, for more material. Thank you.
At Fight Fiend Miggs. Moving forward, Amanda Serrano beats Heather Heat Hardy. I don't think that there was any stretch here, other than the fact that Heather Heat Hardy took the fight, and now Serrano's talking about going back to MMA. Miguel, what is she gonna do? She can't find any viable candidates that can get her paid.
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing. What she is associated with Jake Paul. Okay, Jake Paul has some sort of stake in PFL. Yeah. So she's gonna get like, first seed, and mind you, like, for those of you who might not know how PFL works, they try to make the sport more like regular sports. So there's a season, there's a regular season, a post what's it called, a postseason or playoff, and then finals. Basically, it's tournament formatted just like it would be once like the playoffs start in the NFL or the NBA, etc. And the winner of the tournament gets $1 million fucking bucks. That's how I got that money. I don't know how much money she got paid. I'm talking about Serrano against Katie Taylor. I'm sure she's looking for a fucking rematch there. I don't know how much money she's getting paid there, but hey, if she can go in there and smash the shit out of 3 like lower class chicks and get herself a fucking big ass payday, I'm sure she's totally down to do that. That's what a lot of other women have done. specifically in the PFL, like that's a big ass payday, and depending on what weight class she's going to go in, she might not have enough decent people in her to to actually take her down and stuff like that. And mind you, she has a couple of fights. She's fought on this smaller event called Combates Americas, which is like a low end kind of like Latino MMA promotion, and it's growing. It's getting some big numbers now on like the Spanish channels and stuff like that. So that's her experience, and she's done some pretty. In one fight, she actually finished a chick by a choke. So it's like it's not like it's completely foreign to her. She has a couple of MMA fights already under her belt and wins, of course. So I don't know what weight class she's going to go in if she goes into the PFL, but that's what it sounds like. And obviously, it's for the money, right? If she knows she can go in there and take these women out and get a nice $1 million paycheck, of course she's going to do it, because from what I can tell, from what I've read, there's already going to be a rematch with Katie Taylor and that one Cameron chick that she fought, that she lost to at 140. So Katie Taylor has no plans of moving back down to 135. It doesn't seem. On the broadcast, Alicia Baumgartner was talking about this fight because she was one of the color commentators. She seemed very interested in fighting, Serrano. So I don't know how much money there would be in that. But I mean, come on, if there isn't enough money in fighting Alicia Baumgartner, and for Serrano, I'm saying chances are she's going to take off to the PFL and make a nice fucking stack of cash there. So that seems to be the plan, at least. Yeah.
Let me say something. Dana White's going to have to cross over and shake hands with Jake Paul soon if he keeps allowing this PFL thing to build. Armando Serrano is what the UFC used to be modelized after. The best from different sports, combat sports, coming together and testing their skills amongst each other. Mm-hmm. Over time, the UFC's turned into this jack of all trades kind of shit where everyone's just learning something of everything, and there's some universal all put together type of fighter. Jacks don't usually beat aces. They can. Not saying it's 100% guarantee that an ace wins, but usually don't beat aces. Amanda Serrano, with her resume, now she doesn't have a lot of knockout power, but just her hand skills makes her one of the best fighters in the MMA because of her boxing resume. It's what the UFC used to be. It's what they would announce it before the ring, and all of us would be like, damn, triple black belt versus fucking state champion Olympic gold medal wrestler. There was no other combat sports. They'd say, this motherfucker won in the Olympics. This guy's a triple black belt. Fight. That's what it used to be. That's what, if the PFL can start bringing a lot of boxers, and let's start with the females. Get Clarissa Shields on your roster too. Don't have them fight each other, but get them over there.
Yeah. No, Clarissa's already on there. She's already fought in the PFL. She's 1-1 there. But I mean, I get what you're saying. Go in that direction. Yeah, tap into that the UFC hasn't gotten to yet.
Yes, and because soon, if you guys seen last night, 15,000 were praying that Diaz was going to stop this celebrity bullshit, and it didn't happen again. So now, if Jake Paul's smart, he starts fucking baiting them in, right? Hey, I got a boxer right here who'll fight you MMA in the PFL. Those MMA guys are gonna do it. They've been retiring. It seems like right now, retirement is a fucking popular word after UFC fights. So they're gonna keep retiring and moving over to the PFL to take on these fighters that are making 15,000 sold out. We'll see what the pay-per-view numbers are. And just for some reason, the MMA world isn't convinced that boxers can compete in the octagon, even though they have a winning record, even though Ronda Rousey was the Mike Tyson of the division, got annihilated by the undefeated boxer. They try to act like none of that shit happened. And that's their only way. That's what they held on to last night. And we'll get into it. That's what they kept holding on to last night. There's still that drive. Yeah, they want to see it. They want to see it bad. And if Jake Paul can tap into that before Dana White's going to be in a position where he's going to come in the underdog, because Jake Paul is going to have the boxer that all the MMA fans want to see get taken down. And they love girl fights. So you could start with Amanda Serrano. You could start with Clarissa Shields, and then they'll move on to the men. Don't let a Ngannou get a lucky shot or something on Tyson.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for fucking that up, but get a lucky shot on Tyson Fury, and this PFL thing just went through the roof.
Isn't PFL the one doing the fake pro wrestling MMA angle too, Miguel?
I think that's Bellator. I think.
I think it's PFL. I do.
I mean, I'm not sure what specifically you
And
were talking
someone
about.
purchased Bellator. Wasn't Bellator just purchased?
Yeah, but well, they're in the process of being purchased by the PFL.
There you
That is
go.
my understanding. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of Bellator fighters who are actually already appearing on the UFC roster. If you look on their UFC's website, you'll see a couple, and it won't have an image of them, but it'll have their name and their record and everything, as if some of the people that are being bought over from Bellator to PFL, the PFL isn't taking everybody, so some of them are being like let loose, and they're already popping up on the UFC's website. But yeah, that's what at least that's what's the rumor is, and I mean there's been a couple of reports that it's in the process of being finalized. So yeah, it looks like Bellator is being purchased by the PFL.
Well, let's jump to the main event of the evening.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then Heather Hardy got her ass beat. Sorry, in case you guys almost forgot that. By the way, this was a rematch, and Hardy got her ass beat, worse in this one. So and Alicia Baumgartner was a lot pointing out the fact that Amanda doesn't move her head for shit. So she was getting hit with a lot of goddamn punches. And she's like, yeah, she won't be able to take my punches. So that sounded like Baumgartner wants to get in there and throw down with Serrano. But yeah, Heather Hardy didn't have a chance.
Hey, you see how they kind of clowned Amanda Serrano after that fight, DAZN, the commentators with Alicia?
No, I didn't hear it. What was the thing?
He goes, Alicia, it seemed like you wanted to talk about a future fight, and she just wanted to play what was the word he used? Like heart-to-heartfelt moment with Heather Hardy. You didn't hear them say that?
Oh, I think Porter, was it Porter that was saying that? I think Porter was saying that, wasn't it?
Yeah, someone on the telecast. I just heard, I wasn't really paying attention at that time, but I overheard them say that, like she had totally blown off Alicia's call out on the air.
Oh geez, no, I didn't hear that part. I know that what's his name, Porter, was being Mr. Instigator, and he was trying to get fucking Alicia to say some shit, but Alicia wasn't falling for that. She was like, she wasn't really playing along with what Porter was trying to get her to say. That's what I remember specifically, but I didn't hear if Porter, if fucking Serrano blew off Alicia, which I'm sure would surprise me if that was the case.
Where did it go, Dad?
Oh, did we lose you, Lee? You still
there?
Oh no.
Have we beaten the women's boxing division into the ground now?
Yes, sir.
Officially.
Mm-hmm.
What? No, I'm here.
No,
it was all very weird for a split second there. Have we now talked enough about women's boxing? Let's talk about last night, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Not sure why we need to. I think we all know how this turned out. It was awful. Like 3 rounds of this, Andrew.
Yeah, no, it was. They kept talking about
it was just bad.
Hey Lee, are we breaking up any on your end? Am I coming in smooth?
I can hear you, Andrew, but I think there's like some sort of time delay or something.
I don't know what it was. We're all fine. We're fine again.
You sure? I think there's a delay or something, like a small delay.
Yeah, it sounds like a delay.
Is it Andrew's?
No, I hear Andrew clear. You break up a little bit, Lee, like very mildly, and then some distortion.
There is a delay. There's definitely.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hope that Lee fixes this technical issue.
I am fixing this technical issue. I think we're okay. Well, we can end it here. We did talk about the fight.
No, we got more to talk about.
Miguel, give us your thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was terrible, first and foremost, right? I mean, I remember Eddie Hearn being on Ariel Helwani's show talking about how this is going to be, he won't last a few rounds, talking about Diaz, right? It's like, it's going to be such a one-sided ass whooping that he's going to, knock him out the ring, basically. And Helwani was like, really? You don't think it's going to at least, like, hold his own? And he's like, no, it's going to be such a, one-sided ass whooping. And, sure enough, it was, so it wasn't like Hearn was wrong in that sense, but it was pretty obvious that, even though Diaz was hurt, that he wasn't going to go out. It wasn't something about, I don't know, for as big and as powerful as Jake Paul is, he just couldn't seem to like land that one punch that will like end the night. In
Yeah.
the 5th round, I believe it was, he caught Diaz with like a check left hook over Diaz's lazy lead hand, and it dropped them. And I'm not even sure really if like their feet, because they didn't have like an overhead view, so I don't know if their feet got tangled at all, because I think at this point Diaz was in the southpaw position stance, so I don't know if their front lead foot got tangled at all, but regardless, it was counted a knockdown, and it wasn't like Diaz was protesting or anything like that. So boom, it was a knockdown, didn't help the scorecards any. But it was clear that this is the plan, right? We know Jake Paul's plan. It's find a guy who's got shitty boxing, MMA dude who's naturally a lot smaller. The heaviest Diaz had ever fought in the UFC at least was 170 pounds. This was still 15 pounds heavier than that still. So you can tell in the spare tire that Diaz had that this is way heavier than he's fought before, and the punches weren't going to do shit. That's not, and again, it's not like he's a knockout puncher anyway. Talking about Diaz, with the small MMA gloves, you're able to sneak in punches through some of the corners that normally boxing gloves don't squeeze into, and he can catch guys, and he's very sneaky with them. But again, we're talking about an 8-ounce glove or 10-ounce glove. I don't know how many ounces they were using. Those punches aren't going to work. So it was a few times where he was landing some shots, a couple of uppercuts on Jake, and the punches looked a lot worse than they really were. They didn't even really shake Jake up at all. It was just his hair flailing from the punches that made them look worse, really. But it wasn't like he was ever really hurt. I was actually pretty surprised, and I guess like pleasantly surprised with Jake Paul's cardio. It seemed like he did have a couple of moments where he was, trying to slow down and catch his breath, but he was on his toes for most of the fight, even towards like the latter part of the fight. He was still throwing punches. Yeah, he had his moments where like you can tell his punches didn't have the same kind of steam, but he would bring it back. He would catch a second wind. And I think this was his first 10-round fight that he fought. So I was pretty impressed, because I've seen some of his fights before where he gets tired towards the end. So he seemed to have a better cardio camp this time, because he didn't allow. That was one of the things that we were suspecting might happen, that Jake Paul would get tired towards like the latter half of the fight, and Diaz would be able to catch up somehow, maybe not knock him out, but at least make the fight a little bit more interesting. And to some degree that did happen, but Jake Paul was very I guess we usually say this for other guys. It was a very workmanlike performance. He did what he needed to do to win the fight. He didn't take too many risks, and on top of the fact that he already dropped Diaz in that 5th round. But I mean, Diaz didn't have the power. We know he doesn't have the power. It was just pity pat shit. His footwork was horrendous. I mean, it's not like it's great anyway. But I mean, this was basically the best, low risk, high reward for Jake Paul that he can sign. I don't know if there's gonna be a rematch in the PFL cage, because that's what it sounded like was the case at the end of the fight. What's his name? Jake Paul was more than down to go that route. Diaz, although he didn't immediately jump on it, say like, yeah, well, we can do some sort of co-promotion kind of thing, because he has his own little promotional company or some shit. So maybe he wants to go down that route, but if it doesn't benefit him, I'm sure he's not going to do it. But money wise, I'm talking about. But anyway, it'd be cool to see them in the PFL cage and seeing some sort of rematch happen there, which is what a lot of MMA fans want to see Jake Paul get in the cage, and quit picking on smaller MMA guys. But he goes into the PFL cage, chances are he's probably going to end up getting guys that are his size, and I don't know if that's going to be to his benefit. So he's going to, of course, pick certain people like Nate Diaz and other smaller guys, and make it work that way, because that happens. Jake Paul loses, and this whole fucking issue with the PFL goes down the fucking drain. Of course, they're going to have to keep him winning, of course, to keep the interest. But anyway, it was a pretty solid performance by Jake Paul. We kind of expected that, right? He seemed to kind of blow his wad a little bit early when he like cracked Diaz in those early rounds, but once he realized he wasn't going to get Diaz out of there, he kind of slowed down and then got into the rhythm. Terrible performance by Nate, but I mean, what else do we expect?
I expected him to be a professional striker. That's what I expected. I mean, I keep telling you guys, at a certain point, you got to show me something as far as your stand-up game, because just going to a cage and thinking that changes everything from this guy landing punches on your jaw is kind of ridiculous, man. We've seen professional boxers go into the cage and knock people out. I've watched literally MMA fighters on their back knock out guys that are above them. And now you're telling me that one of the hardest punchers that walk the planet, because I think all professional boxers hit harder than regular men. I just do. When you have 20 years of punching bags and people's skulls and learning how to put those punches on a pinpoint accuracy on the chin, no, you hit harder than regular men. You'll hit harder than a guy who practices boxing for 2 hours a day in jiu-jitsu and Taibo or whatever the fuck else they're practicing over there in MMA gyms. But it kind of blows my mind that we act like the cage is that far away from the ring. Two guys, when they say fight, coming to the middle, standing up. It's not like one guy is going to crawl to the other guy. For that split second, you got to stand up. And yeah, I give it to you. You got a shot. You got a kick, even though a kick on someone who knows, who's practicing boxing, who's actually a champ, a kick seems kind of far. Seems farther than a 6-inch punch, but all right, maybe they landed. I don't know. I haven't seen it. And it's time for Dana White to start looking into that, or he's going to get passed up on this. So what I seen, Miguel, Jake Paul blew his load in the round one, man. I mean, he's throwing shots, all telegraph punches. Nothing's a combo. Nothing is trying. He doesn't know how to take a fighter out. He just knows how to brawl, right? Just knows how to, here I come, Jake Paul throwing all these are all arm punches. Don't see a lot of technique in his punching ability. So it was ugly on both ends. And I agree with you on the cardio. He was able to come back. Even he loses his win twice in this fight. In the second round and after the fifth, or whenever he drops them, you do see his activity drops big time. But they're just if I'm Nate Diaz, you take the $10 fucking million. Don't act like you make 10. Like you just walk into the UFC and make 10 million on any night. Don't give me that bullshit. We all know that 10 million is the biggest fucking purse you're gonna see at 38 years old, bro.
Yep.
Seriously. You take that fucking money, fuck your stupid promotional company that ain't doing 10 million, and you go put the Stockton slap on this motherfucker like you tell everyone you do in the cage. Because Miguel, let me ask you, if he goes in there and puts the Stockton slap down on Jake Paul, makes $10 million, what did that do for his promotional company after he goes out and rebuilds it?
Yeah, it makes it a big deal after that.
Makes it a big deal. So don't give me this fucking shit that I want to focus on my promotional company. Yeah, you're scared. You're scared because if you lose that fight in the fucking cage, you're done as a fighter. There is no Stockton slap. You're now just an old man who got handled by a fucking YouTube kid. And he's still a kid. He only has 7 fights and he's still ugly as fuck. Tommy Fury beats him again last night. Thank you, Tommy Fury. All right, you guys, I said thank you, Tommy Fury, last night. Shout out to Tommy Fury for holding it down for boxing. Beats him again last night. Nothing changed in him. Oh, he looks better tonight. No, he doesn't. Fucking punches are all over the place. He's taking shots. He's all arms. He's getting tired. No, there was times where no, Jake Paul, both of them looked shitty. I couldn't believe that Diaz went in there that ugly though. He really did put in a James Toney-like performance. I'm not even putting this up there with like when he beat Silva. That kind of gave. I was like, all right, the kid did something. I don't give a fuck. Silva's 40, man. That Silva was supposed to be the best hands that MMA ever had. That's what they used to tell us about the guy. The kid beat him, dropped him. I was like, damn. This fight, that was a James Toney performance. Diaz didn't want it. He went in there for the money. But what I think he needs to do, stop having your loyalty to Dana White. You're 38 fucking years old. You ain't going to do shit in the MMA, the UFC. You're not getting 10 million. Take your $10 million and ride off into the sunset, bro. And if you lose, you lose. He's a bigger man. All of the excuses that Miguel said, you can say all the way spending your money there in Stockton, California. But if you win, don't act like that's not one of the biggest wins of your promotional company's life. It's not the McGregor. It'd be you bringing that fucker to the cage and beat. Can you imagine if he's slapping him, like really giving it to him like a Terrence Crawford ass whooping? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How his stock is going to go through the roof with the youngsters.
Oh, yeah. His promotional, like, there's been a couple of people that I saw on the undercard of that fight, where like they had whatever, you know, promotional company, quote unquote, that he has on it's even on the canvas as well. So I don't know what the hell this thing is he's talking about, but I certainly hope he doesn't use that shit as some sort of fucking crutch or some sort of excuse to not. I mean, like, oh well, the PFL didn't want to work with me. Like, no, motherfucker, just sign with the fucking PFL. That's the biggest payday you're ever gonna get. Quit fucking pretending. You know what I'm saying? Like, you win, you make a name for your promotion at that point. Fuck the co-promotion prior to it, of course. But afterwards, it's like, yeah, people are gonna fucking, you know, on top of the fact this motherfucker's, I mean, there's even been videos of him like smoking a joint while he's like shadow boxing, for Christ's sake.
Yes.
So of course it's gonna appeal to the younger audience, you know. I mean, I don't know if to what degree more so than Paul, I don't know, but nonetheless, it's like, dude, you go in there, you take the 10 mil and you fucking guillotine the son of a bitch. Like, really? You don't think your promotional company is gonna go to the roof? Fuck yeah, I will.
That the MMA crowd showed up for him last night.
Oh, they totally did. Yeah.
If he gets him into a cage and beats him, they will love him and his brother, because he always has his brother involved. Him and his brother will turn into legends again for the MMA world. That you dude, check this out, you guys. I promise you, there will be a title that says Jake Paul was gunning for Canelo, loses in cage. You'll see they'll be tying him to like the top 10 of boxing if he goes to the cage and loses. Believe that. They will twist that up some way. Was on his way to a belt, decided to fight in the cage and lost. This story will blow up for the MMA world, who's been dying to see and he's not a boxer. Screw you guys for acting like Jake Paul, but I get it. When he goes into there, they're gonna tag him as the boxer versus the MMA guy.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, you know, it's funny, like how much like the crowd, the Diaz crowd, was there at the end of the fight when Jake Paul was being interviewed in the ring. They were booing the shit out of him, and of course he didn't like it, so he was like, "Boo if you're a virgin." And it's like, and then he thinks that shit was funny. It's like, dude, what the fuck are you? Yeah, you must be a kid to be acting that fucking way. If we just take the damn booze and, you know, the way you're supposed to. But goddamn, like, the people really showed up for Nate.
My question is, who did the double eagle while he had him in a knee bar, Miguel? Was it Nate or Nick?
It was Nate. It was actually a triangle. He had Kurt Pellegrino in a triangle choke, and then he did like the flip the bird to the camera. But it was Nate. It was Nate.
If he did that in a PFL cage,
right?
He's got new life.
That's what
you were talking.
Yes.
You were talking about this last night. He does have the brains of an ice cube at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, how much more can the Diaz brothers take?
Their defense is basically taking punches. Like that's literally like, you know, hit me, you know, yeah, I'm gonna try to kind of bob and weave and try to put my hands up, but I mean, these motherfuckers taking like shots to the head with 4-ounce gloves for the, you know, the last 15 or 20 fucking years. So yeah, they're gonna be, and even like my feed on VIP cut off like when his brother Nick was outside being interviewed by, you know, Porter and everybody, and we all know, but like dude was having like a hard time even getting out a fucking sentence. Like, I don't know, maybe he was high, maybe he was drunk. That doesn't, you know, that doesn't exactly help matters, I'm sure, when you're being interviewed, but he couldn't even get a damn, you know, a sentence out there. And it's like, damn it, dude, your brain must be really fucking mush at this point with all the damn fights that he's had. So, you know, and of course his brother's on his way there, Nate is on his way there as well. But man, dude, these guys, that's their defense basically, is just taking punches, and it's like, all right, I'm still standing, that's my defense. Like, no, it's not how it works, dude.
Final thoughts, Andrew?
My final thoughts is Nate should probably try to see him in the PFL in the cage. I don't know what the hesitation is on Nate's part. You think that would be something he agreed? The money seems fucking awesome at 10 million. Maybe he's trying to get a percentage out of the pay-per-view. I don't know, but to me, this is a green light all the way. This is something the MMA definitely needs, and it's not me talking shit. The fans there last night show that the MMA is very interested in their fighters and their stand-up game. They're 0-6, I believe, right now against this guy. It's time to bring in, like, we get it. In the boxing ring, it's not your guys' shit. For some reason, none of your stand-up skills match in the boxing ring, and for whatever reason, Dana White isn't allowing one of his top dogs to go into a boxing ring and beat this guy. But that's what's happening right now. That's what's on the paper. they have an out. Diaz brings him to the cage, and they have a fight there. And then and I don't see how this doesn't help Dana White set up a huge fight. Look, Jake Paul's an amateur, you guys. This dude is not a real boxer.
Not
Dana
according
White,
to him, Andrew. By
what's that?
2026, not according to him.
Oh, I know. Yeah, he wants to
By
fight Canelo.
2026, I'm gonna have a title.
Unfortunately, we have to see him beat a professional boxer before he can talk about titles. Right now, he's not even in the rankings. The Tommy Fury fight was supposed to get him there. He lost it. So he's not in the rankings. That's just all hot air. He's not leaving the MMA world alone because of the success of Saturday night's fight. That thing got more play than I thought it was going to get. It's when you have a sellout crowd, the way they were cheering, they acted like this thing was a championship match, man. Like the fight was legit. That was a legit crowd cheering on Nate Diaz last night. Even when Nate was coming back late in that fight, because Miguel's right, man. Paul silenced that crowd in round 1. They were hysteric. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, you're Stockton slap. Dude starts getting fucking mollywopped right out of the gate. And quiet. There's no cheering after the first round. But then when he started coming back. Like, look, I gave Nate credit because he came back in after his UFC time frame was the 25 minutes or whatever. Mm-hmm. He was still coming back 8th round, 9th round, making little comebacks, throwing combos, popping Paul's head with some shots. It never broke Paul, but it looked good. And Miguel's right. It might have been the hair flying back on Paul more that was showing up, making his punches look better. But I did give him credit that after the 25 minutes, he was still coming on strong and he had taken punches and he had taken body shots. So yeah, man, I don't know where this ends for Jake Paul as far as the boxing side, but I definitely see him taking over the MMA side if Dana White isn't careful, because you start bringing those boxers into this MMA field and they start making serious money. I don't care if they're winning or not. Amanda Serrano and Clarissa Shields start making these girls some serious paychecks, sold out crowds, and big time pay-per-view. You're going to have more girls going, Dana, you either get the PFL Amanda Serrano into this cage with me, or I'm retiring and I'm going over there. And I don't know how those contracts work, if he can own them after retirement or what it is. But he's going to have a lot tougher time signing these fighters to a long-term deal if you got a company that's making more money. And last night, PFL at least looked like they were or Jake Paul's MVP promotions looks like it's on the uprise. They don't look like they're going away anytime soon.
And finally, well, I just don't get it. I don't get the whole thing. I really think that when you offer these guys millions of dollars, how they're not, if Jake walks into the dressing room and goes, this is how the fight's going to go. This is how the fight's going to go. Now, this time around, I don't know as much, but Silva was probably the most viable threat, right? Uh-huh. And suddenly he's not able to pull it off. I don't know, Miguel. I don't know.
I want to see how many pay-per-view buys this thing does. I want to see like what the gate was, what the attendance was, the paid attendance, no comps. I want to see what that does, because like the PFL is going to have a quote unquote like pay-per-view branch. Most of their fights, of course, are on ESPN Plus, so they're not even on pay-per-view caliber. I think they even did one pay-per-view card just a couple of years ago, which was like the finals, like quote unquote their Super Bowl, those championships or whatever. And I don't know how many did, but again, this was a few years ago before they were like on the up and up. But I want to see how many pay-per-view buys these guys did, because seeing this in a cage, I think would garner even more pay-per-view buys. I don't know how many they did, but like, man, I can only imagine they're gonna have, because they're signing these people too, and like Amanda Serrano and Ngannou to the quote unquote pay-per-view branch. So basically, when these guys fight, they're gonna be on pay-per-view, and I'm sure the reason they're signed to that is because they're gonna receive a certain percentage of the buys. seeing this, if these two dudes, if fucking Diaz and Jake Paul get it on in a cage, I would have to imagine they're going to do more pay-per-view buys than what they did last night. Now, I don't know what the number is last night. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have to assume that fight is going to do way the fuck more, and it's going to be much more. Maybe it'll be much more of a circus. Yeah, I get it. It might happen that way, but dude, that's gonna mean money in these motherfuckers' pockets, and I don't see why Nate would hesitate with that. But yeah, and that happens. Shit, and only then I think what I say that the UFC might have to actually take a second and be like, what the hell is this noise these guys are making over here? Because there was a point where the UFC was, being taken to court for being called a monopoly and monopolizing the whole sport. So it is in their best interest to have other MMA promotions around, so it doesn't look like they're a fucking monopoly on the sport. And PFL, Bellator, One FC. There's a lot of other organizations that are smaller than they are, and having them around actually is to their benefit. So having the PFL is around, but if the PFL comes out this strong has a pay-per-view, and by the way, last I looked it up here when you asked earlier, Andrew. I think the this last pay-per-view did like 750, the one that I went to in Utah with Gaethje, and I think that's what it was. At least that's what the estimated was about a week ago. So that's pretty decent numbers for it not being really a real belt. It's this BMF shit or whatever, for it not being like a legitimate title, just some like trinket or something. Then it did some pretty good numbers, but it's usually like the big number, the big pay-per-view ones like the John Jones and stuff that actually do like bigger numbers. If they do this Diaz and Paul fight in a cage, I have to assume that would do a lot more than that would at the very least compete with the top pay-per-view that the UFC can offer.
Yeah, no, look, Jake Paul, he's a part of the demographic that built the UFC. You'd be a fool to think that there's not UFC guys that grew up watching UFC from 2000 up that didn't watch Jake Paul's, at least know who he was on YouTube. The guy's been getting millions of hits for a long time. Like, they all know him. Dana White needs to realize his fans know who Jake Paul is. They're watching Jake Paul. They're buying Jake Paul tickets. If he keeps doing this, yeah, you're gonna have to eat your words and fucking stare him across the table, man, because he's coming. We have seen time and time again, your fighters stand up, don't compete with him on a stand-up level. Now, does that mean it changes in the octagon? Of course, they can take a shot. It doesn't change the stand-up. I'm gonna tell you right now. We can talk all we want about Nate Diaz fighting him in the ring and it being different. How do we know he gets out of round one with that left hook that fucking Paul landed in round one that hurt him? I mean, he stuns him numerous times. He drops him once. He stuns him numerous times. How do we know those little, what did you say there are, 4-ounce gloves?
Yeah, 4 ounce.
How do we know he doesn't one punch knock out his ass in round one with that one punch? Yeah, with boxing gloves on, it hurt him. With your MMA gloves, what is that punch going to do? Because it landed pretty early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the punches that Jake Paul landed in that first round, if he lands those same punches on Nate with the 4-ounce gloves, I don't know how he's going to be able to walk through that. Especially with whatever. And again, we're talking about Jake Paul, who isn't really like a professional fucking boxer, but that's what he's specifically strictly trained in for the last however many years he's been doing it. So he's, even though he's already late in his life, I mean, as far as boxing career goes, he's been able to put a lot more power into those fucking shots than most of these MMA dudes have been able to do. But he lands those punches. And mind you, the stand-up is going to be slightly different just because, yes, there are going to be kicks, there are going to be clinches, there are going to be knees and elbows in the clinch. So that's going to happen. That is going to change things. Now, it's not going to change things on the outside, but it'll change things on the inside if they clinch and they're up against the fence. There's going to be things like that, like shoulders and a bunch of other stuff that, generally speaking, boxers don't encounter in the ring. So it's going to be different, of course, but that doesn't change the fact that the punches coming from the boxer are going to be any less powerful. So if that's the case, if Jake Paul is able to land those punches the way he did early, considering where, and especially if they fight at 180 something, it's like, okay, clearly this is not, Nate Diaz's fucking, weight class, and he's getting punched by a much heavier opponent. Yeah, those punches are probably going to fucking take him out. You know what I'm saying? I think Nate Diaz has only been like finished once in his career, and it was like through a head kick. as far as like knockout goes, because I
Wow.
think he's been submitted sometime like years ago. Yeah, he got like a head kick. He fell. The dude jumped on him, and he was still kind of rolling around, but the referee jumped in there. It was considered a TKO. And I think Nate Diaz had probably been submitted earlier in his career, if I'm not mistaken. But as far as like being like knocked out cold, like one punch knockout, or like totally 10 count kind of thing, like that's never happened. Which is probably why he's talking like the way he talks. But nonetheless, if he gets hit with those punches with 4-ounce gloves, dude, I don't know how he's going to be able to take it, especially with somebody who's bigger than him the way Jake is. Yeah, I don't see how he'd be able to survive that.
Well, we should cover one last thing while we will watch the last couple of rounds. I need a Chubb meter reading on Navarrete versus Valdez.
Oh man, yes, that's more than a Chubb. That's like a full on like pop a pill, like hard on kind of thing. That's what that is. That I'm looking forward to that one, and not just the fact that I'm looking forward to that fight in general, but I want to prove my dad wrong, because my dad is telling me that Navarrete is gonna win, that he's gonna beat Valdez. I don't know. I'm convinced he's not. I'm still leaning towards Valdez, but he's like, no, dude, like he's gonna take Valdez. I'm like, oh, okay, I want to hear it, so I'm looking forward to that hella. So that's definitely it's maximizing that Chubb meter for sure.
Damn,
Andrew?
Damn, Miguel. I gotta agree with your pops, man.
Oh, damn it.
Your dad on this fight. Listen, I love Valdez to death. But he's always turned every battle into a war. And it seems like granted the Burchell fight, he won that with the beautiful left hook. But he always gets the worst of the two, right? He's always getting beat, broken jaws, cut eyes, broken noses, guys fighting through hella adversity to get his wins. Navarrete is bigger. He's coming. Is it Navarrete moving up or Valdez before I even go any further?
No, it's Navarrete. He's moving up. I mean, I think he's fought at 130 a couple of times already. With that last fight, that was kind of like a scare, that dropped him. I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, at 130. I don't know if it was his debut at 130. Navarrete I'm talking about. So yeah, he's going up into Valdez's weight class.
So maybe Valdez's power will hold off Navarrete's pressure. But if Navarrete brings that power up to 130, bro, he throws 1,000 punches. Valdez eats 1,000 punches. I don't see him going the distance. And Navarrete has shown hella chin and heart where he's from. It's just, this is an excellent fight. This is a fight you can't miss. I do like Navarrete though, and granted, the boxer usually wins these fights. That is very true. Skills usually prevail, but he's not your typical boxer, and I'm talking about Valdez. Yes, he punches, he throws combos, he's got good accuracy, but it's the punches that he eats and what it does to his face that I think the 36 wins and 31 knockouts of Navarrete are going to build up and stop him late.
Okay, there you go, and that's this week's Fight Net Radio. Do you feel vindicated now, Andrew, that we've had a?
I feel bad for the fans. It's not me, Lee. There were some people there. They waited all week. I got multiple calls, and I called you multiple times. Okay, so not me.
Hey,
you're talking to them.
I completely understand.
I'm used to this abuse. I've been abused by you since 2006. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Got all dramatic
there's
email.
there's some very dramatic moments in the show's history. I would agree. But hey, to the fans, both of the shows are posted again. If you're listening to this, I'd say rewind. Go listen backwards, forwards, and give yourself, it's like an audio book at this point. We've got so much content the past couple of weeks. So enjoy that. You can go to the website and watch if you didn't want to pay for the Jake Paul fight, we've got 8 rounds of it up for you guys, and I'll cut it out and clip it so you can enjoy it. And enjoy the Navarrete versus Did I do it correctly, Miguel? Or am I still sounding white?
Navarrete, but close enough.
Okay.
It's a great fight.
This is why I'm giving up on trying at all. I'm just going to say it white. I digress. Hey, visit at FightNet Radio. Visit that guy at Fight Fiend Migs. We're available on social media. We have YouTube channels, all of that stuff. We're here to provide boxing content that I think is uniquely different than everybody else, for sure. You will never find multiple perspectives like this. So we'll watch the fight on Saturday. We'll have a review for you on Sunday. So have a great week.